So for those of you who don't know, my work is in plant-based nutrition, kind of where my passion is. And I really love helping heal people with a plant-based diet. And I really love working with women, specifically women, my age, which a lot of moms around, between 25 and 45. And a lot of the healing I do with nutrition is not, a lot of it is symptomatic healing symptoms, but a lot of it is emotional healing as well. So I really love healing women of emotional things using nutrition. So I guess I'll start telling you guys a little bit about my background. I went plant-based 10 years ago, and I went plant-based for compassion reasons, not necessarily health reasons. I had tried to go plant-based for health reasons and failed twice. And finally, I just had kind of a realization of I just didn't want to hurt animals anymore. I didn't want to be responsible for any sort of harm. And that was kind of the tipping point for me. And I was like, I'm done eating animals. I would rather eat something unhealthy that's plant-based than eat another animal ever again. However, so I went plant-based for compassion reasons. However, I've always been very interested in nutrition. Nutrition has always been just not only my passion, but kind of my obsession for the last 10 years. And as I have had kids, I've had 4 pregnancies, 4 kids, and everyone that I'm around are moms and dads with kids. And one of the things that I have noticed in the past 10 years with the same people is that all the people that I've been around, they have been getting heavier and sicker. And I am the same weight I was, and I have no health problems, even though I don't necessarily eat a 100% healthy diet. And I have seen, I went vegan before the keto, before plant-based was big, before all these diets started becoming mainstream. And I've seen so many people on so many different diets. And I mean, that's what moms talk about. We get together and everyone talks about the newest diet they're on, and why they've quit carbs this time, and the high fat recipes that they're trying and weight loss, and that's what they talk about. And I've just kind of sat by very curious as to okay, they all, are gaining weight. And the other thing that I've noticed too, because every time people find out I'm plant-based, their first question is why? Why are you plant-based? Why? Or they'll make some comment of wow, that's awesome, but I could never do that. Or the biggest thing that I've really heard is, oh, that's great, but I can't eat beans. I can't eat beans. They make me so bloated. Oh, that's so awesome, but cruciferous vegetables, I can't tolerate them. I have too many food allergies. And it's always been really interesting to me. I'm like, oh, these foods that are really, really good for you, that are really healthy, these people can't eat them, but I don't have a problem eating them. I can eat beans, I can eat raw vegetables, I can eat grains, I can eat gluten. I've never become sensitive to anything. Why am I not becoming sensitive to these foods? Why don't I have to count my calories? Why don't I have to spend a lot of time exercising to be healthy in a normal weight? Why is this happening? So it's always just been something I'm really interested in. So I have been doing a lot of research and kind of really diving into what's going on, why do these things happen? And I'm sure that a lot of you guys have heard about the gut microbiome and how, I'm sure you guys, tell me in the chat if you have heard about leaky gut or have heard anybody talking about healing your gut or any of these kind of phrases. Okay, so a lot of people have. How many of you guys suffer from bloating, acid reflux, or have any food sensitivity, such as can't eat grains, or have a hard time eating beans, or don't digest raw vegetables like broccoli very well. What I've learned is all of this, basically what people think is healthy and what they have learned about the microbiome and about diet is wrong. So what I've heard people say, a lot of people are like, oh, this food makes me bloated, or this food gives me acid reflux, or this food gives me diarrhea or constipation. I have to avoid it. You know, and doctors tell you this too, like, I'm supposed to avoid it. If it makes me feel sick, I'm supposed to avoid it. Who's heard this? Like, if it doesn't make me feel good, I'm supposed to stop eating it. I need to avoid it. And what we're learning is that's actually completely wrong. It's actually these foods, the beans, the cruciferous vegetables, the grains that we need to eat for a healthy gut. And what happens is when we avoid these foods, it actually makes it worse. So what I've learned is there's two different types of bacteria that live in our gut, okay? There's the native bacteria. It's the bacteria we're born with and that we get through the first few years of our lives, okay? That makes up 99% of our gut, okay? And it's all anaerobic bacteria, which means that they can't survive outside of us, okay? They live inside of us and only inside of us. And then there's the gut, the bacteria that's just passing through us. So the gut bacteria that's just passing through us is like the bacteria we get from probiotics, okay? From like sauerkraut and probiotic pills and stuff like that. Those bacteria breathe oxygen, okay? They can live outside the environment. They just pass through us. And a lot of people feel like, oh, they hear, oh, to heal your gut, take a probiotic, or eat fermented foods. And while fermented foods can be very beneficial for your gut, they actually harm you when you're trying to heal a gut that's not healthy. So there's actually a study done where they gave a bunch of people antibiotics and killed all their microbiome. And they gave one group probiotics. Afterwards, they gave them probiotics, and another group, they did nothing. And they actually found that the group where they did nothing, their gut bacteria recuperated at a much faster rate. The group that got the probiotics, actually, it slowed down the recuperation of their gut, because the probiotic is filled with gut or bacteria that just pass through. They're not native. They don't live there. So while probiotic and fermented foods are very good for us, they're not good for healing guts. In fact, you're supposed to avoid them if you've got digestion problems at all, any sort of digestion problems, while you're trying to rebuild your gut. So when it comes to our native gut bacteria, the anaerobic bacteria, 90% of our native gut bacteria is made up of two types, firmicutes and Bacteroidetes, okay? And what they're finding more and more in research is that the firmicutes are disease-causing. So if you have they cause obesity. So if you have a higher percentage of firmicutes, you gain weight easier, and you become more sick. You have a higher chance of cancer, heart disease, all kinds of diseases. And Bacteroidetes are associated with weight loss, with a leaner body, and with health. And they've shown this in study after study in like different populations, in mice, in human, in everybody. And so what they're finding is the reason for this is because firmicutes, so they love fat. They love to eat fat, or they love to digest fat. They love to break it down. And they love sugar, like table sugar, like really processed sugar. So they love sugar. So the more fat and processed sugar you eat, the more the firmicutes grow. And the more you have, the more fat they break down so that your body can ingest it. So the more firmicutes you have, the more calories that you're actually absorbing. The Bacteroidetes, they produce short-chain fatty acids, okay? And short-chain fatty acids have been shown to be the major source of food for the cells in your colon and they play probably one of the most important roles in health and disease, okay? Scientists have become very interested in these short-chain fatty acids because they play a role in healing IBS, in cancer, in diabetes. They aid in weight loss. They increase fat burning and decrease fat storage. They reduce the risk of heart disease. They decrease inflammation. And the more of these you have in your colon, the more health benefits you get, okay? And you can only get these from the Bacteroides DBs. Okay, so how does Bacteroides make these short-chain fatty acids? They make them from fiber, okay? The only way to make these short-chain fatty acids in your body is to consume fiber, is to consume beans, cruciferous vegetables, and grains, and consume them in large quantities. The more of these fiber, this high fiber foods you consume, the more short-chain fatty acids you make, the more Bacteroides you get in your body, the less firmicutes you get in the body, the more health benefits you see. Okay, so the way to heal a gut is to eat these foods. Eat these foods that you feel are making you sick, or people do, and eat a lot of them, and decrease the fat and the highly processed sugars and stuff that you're eating. So I'm going to really quickly talk about 3 different diets and some studies they've done on these 3 different diets on gut health, and then I'll be done for now, and then I'll give you guys my offer. So first I want to talk about the SAD diet, the standard American diet, okay? So the standard American diet, we all know what that is. The guts in people with a standard American diet, they got lots of firmicutes, less Bacteroides. That's why it makes you fat, okay? And then I want to talk about the keto diet, okay? Keto diet's all the rage right now because everyone is losing weight. And what they found in your gut is that a keto diet has high Bacteroides and low firmicutes, okay? So they've got a lot of those short-chain fatty acid producing bacteria and very low firmicutes, which are the ones that make you fat. That's why they lose weight, okay? That's why you lose weight on a keto diet. That's why you feel good, okay? However, what they are finding is that when they look at the people with this low fiber, high fat diet, their diversity is extremely low. So while they have a lot of Bacteroides, the number of different types of bacteria in their gut is very low, okay? And they've always known that more bacteria, like more different types of bacteria in gut, healthy you are. So you want a lot of diversity in your gut. And they've also found that the percentage of Bacteroides in a gut of someone who is on a keto or a high fat, low carb diet, it's inflammation causing. So they have more of the inflammation causing bacteria and less of the inflammation reducing, okay? So this is why they look healthy, they lose weight, but long term, it's actually very devastating for your gut to go on a high fat, low carb diet. Now, when they look at vegan diets, which are high fiber, so the USDA, they recommend 30 grams of fiber a day. Standard American diet people get 15 grams. Vegan people get 60 to 80 grams of fiber a day, okay? And they have found that they have low firmicutes, high Bacteroides, and the most diversity in their gut of all 3 of the diets. Anyway, so this is just the very beginning as part of this e-course / ebook